Apparently, the Taliban protected Americans, though. Oh, we've got some craziness for you. Taliban cooperation included protecting Americans from possible terrorist attack at the airport. Not long before the U.S. finished its Afghanistan withdrawal, the Taliban stopped a bus headed to Kabul's airport, saying it might be rigged with bombs. Good guy, Taliban. Harbinger. Not a harbinger. Did I get it right that time? Thank you, sir. Less than 24 hours before the U.S. completed its withdrawal from Afghanistan, the Taliban stopped a bus headed for the Kabul airport and forced all the passengers off, saying the bus might be rigged with explosives and that it had 2 possible suicide attackers on board, according to the account of a U.S. citizen who was on the bus. U.S. citizen whose name NBC News is withholding for security reasons was on the bus with his 6 daughters Sunday when Taliban fighters stopped it at the Panjshir pumping station. I think I was close. Just outside the airport, 2 people familiar with the account said the Taliban told everyone to get off. The U.S. citizen and his daughters hid in a nearby drainage ditch until the Taliban gave them the all clear. The Taliban were absolutely instrumental, said a senior congressional aide familiar with the account. Without pulling that bus over, there could have been an attack at the airport that could have killed people, including Americans. I mean, I feel like the Taliban has every reason to expedite and help us and not attack us. They want to see us gone, so they have power. So, yeah. I don't. It's a mess. It's a fucking mess. And we've left them with a bunch of expensive equipment, but apparently none of it works. The Taliban captured lots of very expensive aircraft in Kabul. None of them work. This is according to Vice. America's longest war is over after 20 years following the final withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan. The departure of the last military flight on Monday was immediately followed by footage of well-equipped Taliban Special Forces units, known as the Badr 313 unit, examining billions of dollars worth of abandoned American and Afghan government military gear. Oh.
All right. We're here right now with the Taliban as they enter into what was only minutes ago, it was an American-controlled portion of the military airport.
Only minutes ago.
They're taking over.
Oh. It's extremely unlikely that the Taliban will be able to operate any of the U.S.-made aircraft, however, as U.S. troops would have had 2 weeks to make sure nothing left at the airport could ever be used again. The things captured at the other bases in Mazar and Kandahar, they fell before anyone could destroy them, said one former UK Special Forces soldier who fought in Afghanistan and returned as a contractor. But in Kabul, the Americans knew they'd be leaving and had plenty of time to make sure nothing ever worked again. They gave us an entire course on how to make sure abandoned gear can never be used again, and the American lads have the exact same course. If anything captured at Kabul ever flies again, I'd be truly shocked. Those aircraft will never fly again, said General Kenneth F. McKenzie Jr., head of the U.S. Central Command. He said that the U.S. had demilitarized 7 MRAPs, 27 Humvees, and 73 aircraft. They'll never be able to be operated by anyone. They logged out of their iCloud account before leaving. For 2 weeks, the Western military presence in Afghanistan has been restricted to parts of Kabul's airport during evacuation efforts, as Taliban fighters who stormed across the country in a matter of days took control in the capital. But after the last C-17 took flight, with the top-ranking American commander from the 82nd Airborne Division aboard, Taliban Special Forces units finally entered the airport. On Monday, footage emerged of a Taliban test flight of a U.S.-made Black Hawk helicopter, but the former soldier, who spoke on condition of anonymity due to operational security issues, said the Black Hawks captured around the country will eventually be grounded for lack of American-led maintenance and spare parts, but the M-17s could be flown indefinitely. So they are going to be able to operate some shit. How the Taliban will behave after the departure of Western troops from the capital remains impossible to predict. The last 2 weeks saw the group capture billions of dollars in American supplied equipment, ranging from equipment for individual soldiers to light ground attack aircraft. What's fucking new? What's fucking new? War rarely goes as planned. New report tallies trillions the U.S. spent in Afghanistan and Iraq. U.S. government has never provided a full accounting of the cost of America's so-called forever wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, but researchers at Brown University estimate that the U.S. has spent $5.8 trillion on the war in Afghanistan and other conflicts stemming from the September 11th, 2001 attacks. That includes direct and indirect spending on everything from military equipment to homeland security to death gratuities for the families of slain American service members. The war in Afghanistan has cost $2.3 trillion so far, according to Wednesday's release from Brown University's Cost of War project. That does not include the massive airlift the Biden administration conducted to evacuate 123,000 people from Afghanistan before the final U.S. military forces left on Monday. Some costs, such as ongoing medical care for veterans, will continue even though the U.S. military presence in Afghanistan has ended. On Tuesday, President Joe Biden cited the Brown University's $2 trillion plus tally in a forceful defense of his decision to withdraw. He said that amounts to $300 million a day over 2 decades. The reason why we don't have universal higher education, universal health care, why we don't have roads, bridges, and locks that work. God damn. But I'm sure Greg Gutfeld on Fox News has a really good take on the subject, right?
But still, the White House will say, look at this humanitarian feat of strength. It's more impressive than Joe protecting us from corn.
I mean, they did evacuate 128,000 people?
Plus people before the deadline the Taliban wanted. Yeah, Spirit Airline has nothing on us. It's a weird contrast. On one hand, we're evacuating thousands of Afghans. On the other, we say the Taliban's changed. So why is everyone fleeing if they changed? So do we have anything to fear from the Taliban other than their...
Because they were helping the American effort.
They're new and improved. Like
they fear reprisal.
Sure, they just banned music and killed a folk singer. It's the terror version of Footloose. I guess the Taliban prefers their pleasing sounds to come from goats. So are things changing? Well, check out this anchorman reading the news. Their Taliban censors don't even bother to stand off camera. You can tell the anchor's really looking forward to a bright future under his new leaders. Here's a tip, buddy. Don't play any music. This ain't CNN where when you screw up, you get a vacation. Hey. But I'm not one to point fingers. Or am I?
Apparently his show has been doing pretty good.
The Fingers. Starring Fingers.
Oh, this is fucking atrocious.
Yes, it's time once again to point fingers. After all, that's why we have them. It's why humans are in charge instead of
You're right, Greg. I've got a finger to point at you, sir.
fins. People say, Greg, it's too soon for that. That's what they said about the premiere of this show, and I didn't listen. But if we weren't calling out this BS, then who will? And think of all the great finger pointers in history. Some of our greatest coaches pointed fingers. Those are coaches. So did every member of the Four Tops. Your mom at the aquarium. Look, a whale, a whale. Every doctor about to do a prostate exam. Even the image is arousing. And let's not forget everyone's favorite alien. That's right, he pointed a finger. And what of Uncle Sam? A great finger pointer. And of course, the greatest finger pointer of all, God. So back to this mess. You only deserve credit if you do a thorough job of cleaning it up. But if you left hundreds of Americans behind, you didn't clean it up. It's like how a guy cleans up after an all-night poker game. You throw out the beer bottles and the pizza boxes and say, you're good. Now, you still got to get all those stains out of the rug before your wife
I'm
gets
sure
home.
he's speaking from experience. That was like him, right?
This is about American lives. And if you left them behind, you got to fix it. And maybe our government is and not telling us, fine. But consider the people in charge, the ones who have a history of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. No one's blaming the troops who don't make the decisions.
He's right on that one.
We're blaming the politicians who made decisions and then went on vacation.
That's a valid point.
Meanwhile, the White House and the media will redefine your outrage against Biden as directed against the military. If you're mad about the disastrous pullout, Joe pretends you're mad that we're ending a war. His entire speech was bait and switch. I love how he brags about the withdrawal while also
No, that's you're upset we're ending the war. That's what it is. You make it about the fucking pullout. That's what you're hiding behind. No, you're upset we're getting out of the war.
so blaming Trump. So it's a success unless it's a failure, and then that's on Trump. No, the decision made.
Well, he's the one that negotiated with the Taliban and let the Afghan government out, which caused the Afghan government to collapse.
And we aren't pissed at the military, except for generals pushing wokeness while saying the Taliban has no chance.
We're not pissed at the
We're
military,
like a drunk hiker lost in the woods.
except the ones that we are pissed at,
And put everyone at risk.
because they don't have the same politics as us or some
To make
shit.
that many mistakes. It's like flipping a coin and getting heads 100 times in a row. How can you be that consistent? It's impossible for things to go wrong this perfectly, unless it was baked into the plan. You abandon an air base before evacuating Americans. You hand over a pile of weaponry to our
Yes, I do believe that it was baked into the fucking plan. And like you're saying, handed over weaponry, but we just read the fucking article that like all the shit was done to the military standards to fucking deactivate it all. What the fuck? What? You just want something to bitch about, Gutfeld.
armed than the NRA. You have the president telling us everything would be fine, knock on wood. Yeah, knock on wood. Only if you can find John Kerry's face.
Okay, that's
Talk
funny.
about a drastic escalation in the use of knock on wood. Usually I save that for hoping the cafeteria still has soup. Then you see Afghans falling from planes. But hey, that was 5 days ago, remember that? So 100 times shorter than
Still a
Russian.
wild video, and that dude's like, "Hey, look at me!"
When you're arrested or caught cheating on your spouse. Then we give a list of Americans to the Taliban. I'm still unsure what that means, but I doubt they're going to become pen
The
pals.
Taliban helped get Americans out
From a homicidal
because the Taliban was incentivized to end this.
Taliban, it matters. When you then hear that they offered control of Kabul to Biden, who declined it, he probably thought, hell, I can't control my eyelids. How am I going to control an airport? So he wanted
What?
the Taliban to have more control of Afghanistan than the Taliban wanted. And then, as the caskets of our dead were unloaded from a plane at Dover Air Force Base, Joe Biden checked his watch. He took 36 hours to call back Boris Johnson, but suddenly he's in a hurry. Look, I won't point any fingers here, because if I were
Wouldn't you take 36 hours to call back fucking Boris Johnson? God damn.
believe me, so are we.
Have you seen Boris Johnson? Period.
Yes.
Holy fuck. Fuck you, Gutfeld. Here's a man that does have a plan, though. He fucking solved it. David Guetta solved it. He decided that it's time to take care of the situation in Afghanistan. And by God, fucking David Guetta did it. I don't think this is real. I looked all over for this fucking article. I was really hoping David Guetta said some shit about Afghanistan, but I don't think he did. But thank you for the effort, sir.